craggy mountainside, wondering, watching as your mind flies by. Get your feet down to the ground and try. Now's the time to free your mind. Fly, fly, fly.
Hi, everybody. It's a cool 61 degrees over here in California, which is, I guess, kind of chilly. I guess it only gets up to like 54 at night. That's about as cold as it's been getting lately. And I actually have a jacket on and some sweats. And I'm not dying of heat exhaustion, so I think I'm okay. But hey, welcome, my dudes, the new black metal guy. And now we're reclaiming his other nickname, Poser Paul. What's up, guys? How was your week / weekend?
Well, it's 30 Fahrenheit over here, so that
Oh, lucky.
Below freezing.
it's a nice. It's good walking weather.
Are you wearing your jammies?
I'm wearing jeans and a Nunslaughter shirt, so
Oh hell, damn! This guy just can't stop being fucking metal, even when no one's watching.
well, I wasn't going to wear work clothes all evening. You.
Work clothes, like what? Like a button-up shirt and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Slacks in the Nunslaughter shirt.
Yeah, slacks.
No,
And then it could be like that Nunslaughter video for what the hell was the name of that song where he's like getting an office job?
Oh yeah.
God, there is no God. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that, Fred?
No.
It's what's his name? Dawn of the Dead. He's like going in for a job application and he has a suit on, but he's kind of hiding his Venom shirt and he's hiding a spiked bracelet under his sleeve.
Oh, yeah.
And then the dude who's like hiring, he's like, we're Christians at this organization. And then he goes, God, there is no God. And then the whole band's there playing in like an office, little office room.
This sounds amazing. What
I think the song is called God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
What do you think of Nunslaughter?
I don't really know a lot of their stuff. They've never been a favorite of mine. There's that one song that I would say I'm familiar with, the one that starts off with the fucking D beat, and it's like da 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 da. It's like their like theme song. I don't remember what the name of it is even. Does that sound familiar? It's like the D beat song. I think it starts off with a D beat and vocals. And
I mean,
it's
they have
just
like a
this catchy
bazillion.
tune.
They have like a bazillion songs, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's one of their main ones, if not their most famous one. Yeah, I don't know. They seem cool enough. They've just never been under like on my radar too much. Paul might have more to say about that because I know he's was a fan of that Goat album, right?
It was a general question to the two of you, not just. Tell us, Paul. Tell us what you think.
Tell us.
Well, I need to venture back into their demos because they go back to like '87 and shit. But I've only listened to their first album, which was released like 10 years later. But yeah, I was a fan of them early on, from my metal listening days, and yeah, they fit the bill.
I think they're fun to play once in a while, but I can't like listen to them for particularly long sitting at a time. Like it just gets too much. They don't have a lot of solos, if any, on the albums that I've heard. So
It's all pretty the same too.
Yeah, I always figure that. I know J-Dog won't shut up about them, but it's like, is this band really all that? I don't know.
That's why I said I got to get into what they're doing before their album.
I spoke too soon about the sweats and the sweatshirt. I'm already changing back into my shorts. It's too hot.
There is a Nunslaughter recording that I like more than the rest. It's called "Hate Your God." It's like either the rehearsal or a live show. I'm not really. Rehearsal is just a live show with no people. But it's like particularly raw and dirty, and it sounds good. But yeah, no, I don't feel the urge to pull their stuff out very often. I have their demo compilation as well, Paul, and that's fun. It has their thrash band as well, right? Death Sentence. That's it's kind of fun. But Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I feel like I should pull them out again and see if I still feel the same way about them. Come on, it's like, yeah, they're good. Just don't need to play them very often.
Yeah, they do
Yeah.
kind of come off as like a fun band.
Yeah, without
Well, I don't know, like
listening
fun.
to them.
I don't mean fun like in a derogatory term, but it's just like it's like a one trick pony kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
And the way you described it about not pulling out their stuff, as often, I feel like I feel the same way, even though I don't hardly listen to them at all. I assume they're that kind of band. That's just like what I would assume about them.
Yeah, fair.
Paul, I don't know
saw
if
them
you
live
remember.
though. They were great.
Oh, did you? Yeah, that's
Good
sick.
show. Yeah.
Live band.
I was going to ask you, Paul, do you remember me, you, and Matt were walking like home from uptown or something, and I think he was probably homeless, some Mexican guy comes up to us and he starts talking to us about God and how we should accept Jesus and stuff. And he saw Matt's T-shirt. Matt was a Nunslaughter fan out of all of us, and he points to the Nunslaughter T-shirt. He's like, "See that stuff? I can't even read that. That's some. You don't know what they're saying. That's some devil stuff. You can't read it. You can't understand it."
So the lyrics come with the releases, man.
Yeah, and then he starts talking about heavy music, and he's like, "Redbone, Redbone? That's some good stuff." And I think Redbone, it's not heavy at all. I think it's like disco music. I think Redbone were the guys who sang "Come and Get Your Love." I think. Come and get your love. You know that song?
Pretty heavy.
I think that was them. Is that them?
Yeah.
Yeah, "Come and Get Your Love." That is them. I think they were like Native Americans or something.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Dark Funeral shirt ages ago, and the front was just the logo, and the back was an inverted cross with some lyrics on them, and it's about as like Dark Funeral as it gets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wore it downtown. I was on the subway going to whatever the fuck, and I mean, when you wear shirts like this, you get looks every so often. But I was getting an abnormally large number of looks. I didn't understand why, and then I found out later that day that it was the day that the Pope was speaking in Toronto.
Oh no, you wore the satanic shirt on Pope Day?
I wore it on Pope Day,
Poipus?
but no, clearly not, because I'm like, what the hell's going on? Why is everyone looking at me
That's
like I'm
just
the devil?
that's just
and
bad
the answer is
taste.
because they did think I was the
Pope.
devil. So
That-
fair
that-
enough.
Pope, the floor is not the hamper. Man.
That's just a bad taste, Red.
I mean, that's kind of my life story.
I think the only incident I had with the shirt was in high school.
Yeah,
we
the
had,
meat shits.
Yeah, we had a trip to one of the colleges around in my sophomore year or something, and I decided, I didn't even decide. I just kind of picked up one of my shirts, and it happened to be the meat shit shirt, a Severed Record edition, and it said on the back, "If you're offended by the word cunt, then you're a cunt. So shut the fuck up, you stupid fucking cunt." And yeah, one of the teachers was like, "Why would you wear that to the?" So he gave me some shit about it, but I think that was it.
That was my English teacher. He used to make comments about my shirts too. I don't know if I've ever brought that up on the show or not.
Yeah, you have.
I did about the atheist shirt and the Excel shirt and shit.
Yeah, he's like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah, the Hellhammer shirt that said satanic rights. He goes, "Well, what rights does Satan have?"
Really
Yeah,
cool ones.
Yeah, he made Paul turn his meat shit shirt inside out.
I mean, fair.
I remember I had Fred, the Polish band Temple Desecration, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a T-shirt of theirs some years ago, and I went to the market, and an old man and his wife, they're standing behind me in line, and there's a big, giant inverted cross on the back, and he just goes, "What does your shirt mean? Does that mean the Christian church is in trouble?" Like, I don't know, man.
I hope not.
Yeah, hope not, brother.
In high school, I had a Cannibal Corpse Butcher to Birth shirt, and the front is the album cover. And I never wore it to school because I knew like right away they'd be telling me to either go home and turn it inside out. But I always wore it out to like malls and anywhere I went. And I was always ready for the inevitable confrontation about it, and it never came. No one ever said anything about it.
Whoa, holy shit. Did you hear
Yeah.
that, Paul?
You know, I went to like a department
Fred,
store
you
and
didn't
like
hear that, did you?
Now what?
I heard sirens.
No, he didn't hear it.
Yeah. What happened?
Are we lagging?
No.
No.
Fred, you said something and it went, oh.
I think that was a siren.
The microphone skipped. No. On my end, the microphone skipped.
I did not hear that.
Not me
Oh,
either.
shit.
Oh.
You know, you were in the middle of a sentence. It was like that.
No, it sounded good on my end.
I always
All
sound
right.
good.
True that.
Uh,
True that.
Yeah. Anyways, so that confrontation never came. I'd go to like a department store and buy a Christmas present for my mother, and the cashier was looking at the shirt, and
She's like, have
Then
you
we'll
heard of
just-
development? No.
no, just like smile politely. I'm like, all right, have a good day, sir. I'm like, what the fuck? What's wrong with Canada?
Sickos.
I just popped onto YouTube right now, like on the homepage, and all the recommended videos show up. One of the recommended videos is it says "Music for Bugs" full album. There's like a bunch of bugs on the floor.
What the fuck?
Bugman. That's
Yeah,
recommended to you.
I'm gonna listen to this later. Oh, it even has a playlist. There's the weevil, the butterfly, the tree hopper, the moth, the isopod. So we get music for all different types of bugs.
Oh, well, yeah, good.
Where's the worms? I want the worm music.
You don't want to leave any of them out.
I want to dig in the dirt like a worm.
It's
But
more of a tunneling.
what happened this weekend for you, Dan?
Well, as you already heard most of it, we did round one again,
Round
which
two.
is bowling and amusement. And this time we had a couple passengers that we haven't seen in a while. We had Kyle, our bro, and we had Taylor, some insane drunk chick who's a friend of ours. I hadn't seen her in a few years. But yeah, she's still completely fucking insane. Like
It's good to know some things don't change.
Yeah, some things just don't change. Shit don't change, man. Yeah, Paul, you were telling me there was like some schism within with what everyone wanted to do with like games and karaoke. Nobody wanted to do anything that the other people wanted to do.
Yeah.
Basically, what happened is I just bought what I wanted to buy on the game card, and I ended up paying for a bunch of Vince and Rob's games and Taylor too, because I just wanted to play some fucking games.
Yeah. Because they only got like the hour one where you can play like fucking 5 games.
Yeah. So, yeah, so we played some games for like, I don't know, 30 minutes or something. And they got the fucking karaoke room. And basically what it is there's like 5 different rooms where people are doing karaoke. And I guess you're not allowed to bring alcohol in the karaoke rooms, which almost seems like defeating the purpose.
Yeah,
You can leave the alcohol
what-
right outside the door. And I guess we didn't know that. So for whatever reason, we were having trouble like setting up the karaoke computer thing. And and we were drinking in there too. And like the manager and security and a bunch of different employees kept coming in like every 5 minutes. And I didn't know why. Taylor was kind of just talking to them and like, I don't know, dealing with it. I didn't even know what was going on at that point. But yeah, we're singing and we're doing our thing. And at one point, I had taken my shoes and socks off because it got really hot in there. And, you know, I'm having some fun. I'm dancing around. Everyone's dancing like a bunch of chimps, and we're singing badly, and it's just complete fucking chaos. And at one point, like a manager comes in, and we're all doing this, and I look over, and it's just I think I was like running at the time in the room, and it's just like, what the fuck. So
Vince
yeah,
told me
was a
that
lot
at
of
one
fun.
point you were like shirtless in there.
I took off my shirt, and then right away Robert goes, "Hey, put your shirt back on. Security's gonna come." You know, it's so funny. Like I at this point in my life, I'm almost 30, I didn't think a night like this would come again. But yeah, it did, and it makes sense that Kyle and Taylor were there. I think that kind of I think that's kind of inevitable with them.
Pushed it over the edge.
Yeah, it pushed it over the edge to the point where we are gonna have a little bit more than the usual amount of fun.
Yeah, they're saying
But,
like Kyle was like, or Vince was telling me that Kyle was like screaming the lyrics to like a stone or something.
I think so. I think we did Sledgehammer from Peter Gabriel. And at one point, I think, Paul, you heard about this, or I kind of told you about this. Um, I dragged Taylor out so we could go play air hockey. And I beat her at air hockey. And in response, she throws the puck at me and misses. And then I didn't know she was going to do this. The handle you hit the hockey puck with?
Yeah.
She fucking throws that at me and it hits me in the chest really fucking hard. And my chest is still sore from that handle. And it's just like, who does shit like that? Who does that?
Fun people.
Yeah, I can't imagine little Vince throwing the hockey puck handle at me or whatever.
Yeah, I think he's more aggressive to things rather than people.
To objects.
Yeah, the Birds of Paradise.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, did we not tell the Birds of Paradise story?
No.
I have to tell that one real quick because it's very funny. Fred, you've heard us talk about Little Vince before, how he's hot dog moves and he's a buddy of ours. I don't know if we've ever explained what he looks like. He's kind of a skinny guy with it's like a skinny Mexican guy, not too tall.
Kind of Spockish.
Yeah, kind of Spockish. Glasses, little beard. And, or no, he didn't have a beard in high school. So he's basically like a skinny kid with a mop haircut and glasses.
Stick figure.
Yeah, I remember one of our friends was really good at drawing.
Spockish.
Yeah, one of our friends was really good at drawing in high school, and he would like always kind of doodle pictures of us. And little Vince I guess Vince would carry around a camera. Vince's was like a little head with glasses and hair, and then a stick figure body with a camera. It looked really funny. But anyways, I remember one day, because Vince was really quiet back then. He's not as he wasn't as outgoing as he is now. You know those Birds of Paradise plants, the ones that look like a fucking bird head on a long stick?
I don't think so.
Nope.
I'm in Canada. I don't see tropical shit like that.
Yeah, look up Bird of Paradise, and you'll see what this plant looks like.
I have a magic called Birds of Paradise.
A magic?
Yeah, Magic the Gathering.
Damn.
Oh, yeah,
You see the plant? You see the plant there?
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a bird head. There was a bunch of those where we hung out in high school. Like there was a bunch of bushes, and there was a big planter of those things. And one day, for no reason at all, Vince rips one out of the ground, and he gives us his backpack. He goes, "Here, hold this. I'm about to go crazy." And he starts slamming the Bird of Paradise on the ground. Just smashes it all over the place, and for no reason. Nobody knew why the fuck he did that. It was really good, though.
Yeah, and then later on, in the year or the year after, they like cemented over the planter and took out the plants. So I think it was because of that incident.
Because of that incident?
Yeah, because it wasn't only one. I think it was a couple.
Well, there was a few funny things that happened there. One of our friends had broke his leg, and I kind of got to tell how he broke his leg. We're at his house, and there's like a moving, those for sale signs, they like stick the big wooden stake in there. So there's a big wooden stake on the neighbor's lawn, and our friend is running towards it, and he's trying to be funny. So he pretends to kick it, but he actually kicks it and breaks his leg. And as he's kind of like riling in pain on the ground, he's like slamming his fists on the ground, pulling out the grass. He gets stung by a bee that was on the grass. Oh, so add more pain to that.
How did he break his leg kicking that? Did he like hit it with his shin?
Yeah, exactly. He hit it with his shin.
Oh, that's terrible aim.
He meant to do it by accident, like to be funny, but he actually did it and broke his leg. And then after that, he was in a so this is his freshman year of high school, and he's in a wheelchair basically for the rest of the year with a broken leg. Weren't you guys like shoving him down the stairs or something, Paul? Is that what it was?
Something, yeah.
Yeah, I remember you guys were like tossing him down the stairs in his wheelchair.
Yeah, he was doing like wheelies and shit on it. But yeah, I think we pushed him down the stairs, but it was like a 2-step. And then someone came by. They're like, what would they say?
And one of the teachers comes by. She goes, "What are you doing? What are you boys doing?" And Josh goes, "No, it's okay. They're my friends." And the teacher goes, "You need to get yourself some new friends." Oh, yeah. But anyways, back to the end of round one. I think it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. The place closes at 2. And me and Vince are playing basketball, like some basketball game. And Robert goes, "Oh, come outside. I'm ready to go." So me and Vince are rushing. Like, okay, yeah, let's finish this game. And we're kind of like, oh, fuck it. We're taking a little bit longer than we should. Ha, 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 whatever. So we took a little bit longer than we should, maybe 10 minutes or something. We go outside. Robert's parked right outside. And Taylor and Kyle are not there. And we're waiting and we're waiting. We basically wait a whole nother hour for them to get out. And I guess what they're doing is like they're in other people's fucking karaoke rooms just being annoying is what they're doing.
Smooth.
And I forgot about this too. Taylor kept saying, "I'm a woman," and that's like her excuse for everything. We're in line. You know how you get the security check? And she goes, "Oh, I don't have to get security checked, right? I'm a woman." And I'm like, oh, that's not the way it works. And the guy's like, "Oh, no, you have to get checked." And then when she threw the fucking hockey puck handle at me, and she goes, "I'm a woman. What does that mean? I'm a woman. That means you can throw shit." God damn you.
They're gonna be rolling that out in 2024.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. You're a woman. You can do whatever you want. Anyways, so they finally come out. It's like 2 a.m. We're all pissed. Robert's pissed. Even Vince is going, "Oh my God, bro." And so we see them coming out, and Robert moved his car to a different parking space. So they're walking out. Robert turns off his lights, and his car is on, but it's very quiet. And so they walk there, and they're looking around. They don't know where Robert is. And we get a phone call. Kyle, he goes, "Hey, where you guys at?" And Robert goes, Where have you been at, asshat?" There was something. We were trying to call them a million times, and Robert got a hold of Kyle, or no, he got a hold of Taylor's phone, and Kyle answered, and he's doing this little shtick where he's like, "Well, but Joe Biden's America. I was in Vietnam." He's doing this like I don't even know what kind of comedy this is like.
Yeah, Vince was saying it was like absent of all comedy.
Yeah, and you could hear me in the background the whole time. Not funny, not funny. We're all pissed because we're having to wait for them.
Not funny,
it wasn't. Yeah. Not funny, Gabe. Got to tell the not funny Gabe too. Now, the beginning of the story is not. This is a short one. This is gonna sound not funny when I tell it. You're gonna go, "Oh, why did you say that?" But it ends up kind of funny. So there was this kid in our high school who was very disabled. He was like.
It's not starting well.
Yeah, I told you it's not going to start well. He's maybe like 2 feet tall, a little guy in a wheelchair, and
I can hear you breathing, suppressing that laughter, Fred.
Well, yeah. And this kid had this kid had like a handler guy who would like push him around in the wheelchair and kind of go to class with him and stuff.
He looked like Sean William Scott.
Yes, from American Pie. He looked like Sean William Scott. Stifler. He looked like Stifler.
I don't think handler is the right term.
No, I thought it was handler. I don't know what you call, dude. I'm trying not to be a dick. I'm really not.
An aide.
His aide. There you go. His aide. Like I said, it's not going to start off good.
What is he?
Dude, I thought that's what they were called. I really didn't mean anything by that.
Please continue.
Well, anyways,
it can only go uphill from here.
No, it is. So this kid and the assistant guy, they're sitting in class, and this girl is getting berated because she was late. And this kid's named Gabe, so he starts giggling. He's like, and the assistant goes angrily. He goes, "That's not funny, Gabe." It's like, holy shit! Put him in his place. That's not funny, Gabe.
And then we just make up scenarios with that.
Oh, we would make up scenarios like Gabe doing something, and then the guy going, "Not funny, Gabe." I remember you guys had a picture of the assistant dude, like popping a squat next to the bathroom, waiting for Gabe, and it said the caption said Sean William Scott popping a squat.
Yeah, that was funny.
And there was that stupid time where you guys were you guys were hiding in a cardboard box, scaring people around the corner. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was dumb. Yeah, Paul's like hiding in a box. He's like popping out of the box when people come around the corner.
Was it believable?
It worked.
It did work. It did work. Me and Paul also did this other really stupid thing where we would act like we were late for class when the bell rung, and as soon as the bell rung, we would run as fast as we could through the halls to class.
Like full
Acting
speed,
like
full
we were-
sprints.
Yeah, full fucking speed. It was again really fucking stupid, but funny.
One time there was a dollar store near our school. I'd go there on my free period, and this particular time I just got some balloons and like a bag full of feathers, and I just stuffed a balloon full of feathers and went to the middle of the cafeteria, blew it up, stood up on the chair and popped it, and just everyone got feathers all over their fucking food. I don't know why.
No,
I remember we put a banana peel at the bottom of the stairs, and some anime kid, he didn't slip and fall, but he slipped and like did the splits, and he kind of played it off really good. He like went woo, and then he's like whoa. That's all he did. And there was this other time, it was raining, and where we used to hang out, there was like this giant like a little hill that was just when it was raining, it was just mud, and everyone always walked on this little hill to get to class. And this particular day, I think we saw at least 5 or 6 people slip in the fucking mud and get all muddy. I remember one particular fat kid did it, and it was like, holy shit. So yeah, muddy nibbers.
Yeah. That's some stupid shit in high school.
Yeah.
Memories.
I don't know, like that box story reminds me of something I would have done too. I remember one time, I don't know, this dollar store was like the bane of my existence. I don't know why I kept spending stupid money there just to fuck around in school, but like this one time I got a plunger, and this must have been like my last year in high school, and at this point I had like long hair, long black coat, the usual.
You're a fucking
And
badass, basically.
I'm walking through the halls with a plunger and just like sticking on random things. And I find like a chemistry class full of like first year high school students. And the doors open. And so the door's at the back of the class. And I just slam the plunger on the door. And everyone just turns around to look at me. And I just look at all of them. And I'm just trying to pull the plunger off the door, and I can't. So I put my foot on the door and just yank it as hard as I can, just fall over backwards. And then I just get up and look at everyone again, and they're all just staring. I just walk out of the class. And that was that.
Everyone whispering,
There's the metalhead right there. There's the metalhead. He's got a plunger.
I'm scared.
Oh my god, he's got a gun. Yeah. Oh my god, what was that from the Coven song, the
Yeah.
McDonald Land Massacre?
yeah,
Oh my god, he's got a gun. That was a great song.
yeah.
I remember I was a junior in high school, and Paul and his brother were freshmen, and at one point I kind of had them just come into my classroom because the teacher was not, I don't want to say a pushover, but she like didn't she wasn't going to say anything that I brought them in there, and she asked who they were, and they're like, I'm like, oh, they're seniors, they don't have class right now, so they're just chilling. And Paul's brother did this thing in front of this girl that I was friends with in that class, who was always kind of like freaking out about everything and grossed out about everything. And his brother gets one of her pins off her backpack, like it was like a Sublime pin or Bad Religion or something, and he puts it through the skin of his forehead. And she's like, oh, she tells the teacher, Miss Davies, look. I thought that was pretty good. Didn't she do something else that was fucking ridiculous? I can't remember.
I don't remember. But
Marissa, what the fuck did she do? Kyle with her. That was really good too. The same drunk guy I was talking about at round 1. Again, in high school he wasn't as outgoing. He was a pretty quiet kid.
Burzum kid.
And yeah, and one of the times where he kind of like came out of his shell, my friend Marissa, she came to school with sandals on, so her feet are showing. And she walks up and she sits down, and Kyle looks at her feet and he goes, "Oh." And he goes, "Hey, can I rub your feet?" She goes, no. He goes, "Please."
Please.
And it's like a zero period or before verse where it's like only them two there.
Awkward.
It's like they don't even know each other. He's like, "Can I rub your feet?" Oh, that was fun.
It's polite to ask.
He shot his shot.
Yeah.
That's right.
But what was it? What else did Vince tell me about the night?
I'm sure something else happened. I don't remember.
Can't remember right now. But was there anything else that happened?
Let me see. Me and Kyle, we sang some heavy metal songs, not at karaoke, but in my car. What else did we do? I don't think so. That's pretty much about it. I wanted to just give a shout out to we've had a few more subscribers after the Black Metal Guys episode. I can only assume that it's his doing or the Terminus. We actually got quite a few shout outs from a lot of different people on Instagram and comments on YouTube and some new listeners on Spotify and all that. And one of the big ones, I think, Fred, you might know who this is. You know who Brain Smasher is? He just subscribed and he left some comments.
I don't think so.
Oh no, he's got a big collection like you, but he's always he shows them off on YouTube. He's got a decent following. I think he's got like 6,000 or something like that.
That was a fun episode to do.
Yeah,
I can't believe it's 4 hours long. That's insane. It did not feel that long.
No, I know.
Black Metal Guy said he tried to make it a long episode, and I think he did. He was just able to kind of riff off everything, and we just got there.
Yeah, that was fun.
But it wasn't forced either.
No, everything was cool. Oh, one more thing. Another thing that I wanted to bring up. As a not a spoiler, but what do you even call this? It's kind of a
teaser.
Well, I kind of wanted to exploit the comp that's coming out very soon. What would you call that?
Advertisement, analytics. Teaser.
There you go. Plug. A plug. There you go.
Shameless
I want to
plug.
shill. Yeah, I want to shill the store. I want to shill the Bunsen Burner Recordings Big Cartel. We still have what do we have here? We still have Dungeon Crypt CDs. We got a couple Demon Slot CDs that just kind of reemerged. Othalon and the Occlude Droom Split. And these are limited. Hey, you guys know they're limited. And you're not going to get these bands anywhere else on physical format. So get you a copy if you're serious. If you're a real Metallian.
What about Sfreos? Do you still have any of those?
Nope. Those are long gone.
Oh, that's too bad. Those are great.
Yeah, it's terrific.
I mean,
yeah, so,
too bad. Too bad for anyone who doesn't have it. Sucks for them.
Yeah. Too bad for those poor souls.
Snooze, you lose.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've talked about this, I think, a little bit on the show, but we have a compilation coming out. Some bands that me and Paul and our buddy Raph, who's usually like third guitar in our projects, we have a brutal death metal song that we wrote and recorded it already. Everything's good to go. We have kind of like an indie rock, I don't know what you would call that, an indie rock, alt rock kind of song. And maybe that doesn't sound appealing, but believe me, it is. We have a song that basically, on there that basically sounds like Paroxysm, or kind of a continuation.
Nice.
We have a Sfreos side project, like a grindcore project. It kind of reminds me of Goat Penis. So that's going to be 2 songs basically as one track. Othalon, I got to hit him up, so that's not for sure. Dungeon Serpent, that was supposed to be on there, but that didn't go through. New Galicia is going to be on there, so there you go, any Galicia fans. New Warriors Chalice song is ready to go. That was mastered already. Maybe we got to raise the drums a little bit. Anything I missed, Paul?
We got the Namacon carbonized kind of song.
Right, we have a Namacon carbonized kind of song, and the vocals kind of sound like Matty Karki. from Dismember.
And then we got
It's an interesting one.
a new metal groove metal song.
Right,
from
Raph wrote a new metal song, and it's like doom metal mixed with new metal. It's kind of strange. And we're gonna try to get his girlfriend to do vocals on because I think that would just be even more strange.
So are these being recorded under any particular band name, or
They're all
Yeah,
different
yeah.
band names.
Everything's right. The brutal death metal song that's under the band name Natalie Portman Nip Slip.
I think you mentioned that before.
Yeah, the
So they're all
alt-rock-
going to be like one-off scenarios, or
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say
Depends on
one
the
off.
band.
Maybe some of these will continue, and others are continuations of what we've already done. So the alt rock song is a Droom song, is a new Droom song. It's kind of a complete 180 on what we were doing before.
okay, okay.
Yeah, the kind of Nomicon-ish Dismember song is under the name Hopeless Cries. Don't know if that can come back because it's so. I don't know. You'll have to see for yourself. It's just rapid speed insanity.
It's like under a minute and a half long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Raph song is going to be under the name Mungo.
Then we got Necrotic Mess with the Death and Roll song.
Yeah, that's right.
Warrior's Chalice coming back. Galicia.
Warrior's Chalice sounds very different this time. Warrior's Chalice is going to sound a little more.
Whereas Chalice sounds different every time.
Yeah, Warrior's Chalice this time is going to sound like occult, not just Greek, but occult early 90s.
Mortuary Drape
Almost-
sort of stuff.
Almost black. Yes, exactly. Stuff like that. Monin of Zezbeth. Shit, kind of in that vein as well. Shit like that.
And then we got some black metal songs with
Oh yeah,
Kyle.
I forgot about those. We have a black metal song with Kyle where I did I did extremely shitty leads. I was so drunk that I couldn't everything I was playing is bad. So you're getting authentic drunk black metal played bad. So that's what you're getting there. It's a little bit Blazebirth Hallish and a little bit LLN-ish.
Then we got
and,
Christian song.
Christian song that's a bit more Finnish. It's like let's just say like Satanic War Master with Arcanum vocals, something like that. You're gonna get something like that.
Yeah,
Pretty
I'm
good.
hoping to get a
That's a
fossilized
cool
song
combo.
on there too.
Yeah, we are getting a fossilized song on there too. If it's done by the time, I think it will be, and also a Serenitis song. Our buddy James is
Thaumaturgy
Gonna-
too, right?
Thermaturgy too. They have a really great one. It's like Black Death, kind of Profanatica-ish, but a little bit more driving. I don't exactly know what to compare it to. Maybe the Haunting Presence. Maybe Set. Probably Demoncy. Something like that.
I think I saw
Yeah,
like,
we
in
got
his
quite a few
stories,
things.
maybe. I think I saw in his stories that something is coming for Serenditus, but I didn't see anything after that.
Yeah, he's sleeping on that.
Yeah.
My
he's
boy got to
taking a
come up
little
with
while.
that already.
No, but like it was pretty recent. They had a story that said something is coming. I'm like, okay, cool. And then hang on, I'm trying to find his
Don't
There we go,
forget,
a week
it's still
ago.
coming.
Metal Cryogenia single from upcoming EP Thy Constant Sorrow, out now on all streaming services. Cool. I need to check that out. Haven't heard it.
So yeah, I think this compilation we've been working on it all year, and I think all the listeners of this show will definitely be interested in everything that's on it. There's really nothing that's too. There's nothing too generic, I would say. Everything's pretty. We made sure everything is pretty original sounding, and I think it's gonna be a really interesting comp, one for the ages, we can say. Not to toot my own horn or whatnot, but yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty good, and we're almost done. So gotta record some vocals and do a little mixing and mastering, and we'll be ready to go.
Yeah, Galicia, we got to write that too.
Yep. Well, yeah, I'll start with that this week. I have one riff written, so I'll have to Galicia. I'll have to fucking just kind of snap to it.
Yeah.
I could be done this week. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. I'm gonna try. If I sit down with the guitar, I might be able to do it.
Yeah, and the
New
latest.
Galicia is exciting. New Galicia is always exciting.
Yeah. Like I said, only one riff so far, but I'll have to sit down and figure that out.
You know what though? Precipice. When I think of 2022, still one of my top albums.
Me too, buddy.
Yay.
And I don't know that we've ever talked about it on the show, but me and Paul have kind of talked privately during our like rehearsals and things. You want me to
You
share?
guys talk outside of the podcast?
It's good.
We talk out. Yeah, we talk outside the podcast.
What?
Basically, what I was going to say is I think it's very good too. I won't say anything else. I just think it's very good too.
It's all
And
right.
apparently Terminus did as well. So snap, 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 clap, clap, clap. You know, Bolby style, whatever. It's a Jimmy Neutron reference.
Got a blast.
What was that thing in the Jimmy Neutron theme song? Mechanical K9. Dun, 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 dun. Super powered mind. That was it. Super powered mind. Mechanical K9. Rescues the day from Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy Neutron theme song. Good show, actually. Whose parrots are those, by the way?
Freddy.
I have one budgie, and it's on a different floor.
Budgie. Good band, actually.
Budgie. Yeah, good band, actually.
Prefer them to Rush.
Actually. Yeah, no, I have one bird, and it's on a different floor. This microphone is ridiculously strong.
Squawking.
You know, one more thing too. I just remembered today. I don't know why I wanted to bring this up. I just thought it was slightly funny, only slightly. You don't have to laugh if you don't want to. Back in I want to say 2016, Funeral Smoke opened for Grave Miasma in Glendale, and Paul, you know Nathan. Nathan ain't a metal guy. He's kind of a hip hop guy, but he came to support us, and he was kind of helping out with doing the load-ins and things like that. And my friend Rick was there. Rick from Vomit Ritual. You guys know who that band is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was there, and I remember he bought me a beer, but he wasn't like on stage. And I told Nathan, I'm like, hey, go to the bar and get the beer from Rick. He goes, who's Rick? What does he look like? I'm like, oh, he's got long black hair and a beard. And I'm looking around, every fucking person in the bar looks like.
The Impossible Mission.
Yeah, that's it. I just thought that was funny. But if you remember Funeral Smoke, you know, that the Funeral Smoke thing, that's what kind of got Galicia started too. That's kind of you know, I heard it because I remember Drew was like, oh, Funeral Smoke is great, and at the time I was like, it's kind of crap, it's whatever. But I don't know, it kind of like rejuvenated me to want to play war metal again. Listening to that, it was a little, if anybody hadn't heard the Funeral Smoke tape, it was kind of like the fast part sounded like Vaughn and Demon Sea and shit like that, and then like there was a bunch of revenge breakdowns. So it was basically something like that. So if
Nothing
anybody's
wrong with all
interested in
that.
something like that, yeah. You guys got any news to share or any crap to poop
No, not really.
out your butts? I'm sorry, I'm getting vulgar on this show. Did you hear what I said? Poop out your butts. You know what? This is a metal show where we're talking about black and death metal. I think we can be slightly vulgar every once in a while. I mean, it's not like we're out
We can probably
in society.
we can probably say poop once in a while. I think it's okay.
That's right. We can say poop once in a while. You know, we can we don't have to be we don't have to be normal here. We can really be metal. We can be like, yeah, poop out your butt. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot going on this week. I was telling Paul before I bought a Moonblood vinyl that's on its way. That's about as exciting as it got this week.
I have not bought any physical releases anytime recently. I can't remember the last time I did buy a physical release.
You know what? Something came in the mail this week. It was
What did you get?
I got the Neanderthal release. Neanderthals were massacred butchers.
Is that
CD.
the Brutal Death?
Yeah.
With the bass guitars?
Yeah,
okay.
Estonia. I got that one, and then I got the Flesh Mangled EP, Agonizing. Forget what it's called.
Oh, that's Julian Gonzalez's band, right?
Yeah, I got that from Brutal Mind with my Waking the Cadaver cap.
You got Awaking the Cadaver cap?
Yeah,
Damn, Paul. All right.
I was like,
I can't wait. I can't wait for the drip.
Yeah, I was like, if I'm gonna get the CD, might as well get something else too. It's coming all the way from fucking Indonesia.
Legit.
Yeah, so Just got those. I got the Flesh Mangled today.
I
About
was
as
listening to a little bit of Nat Fog just before the show. Fred, do you know who that is? I think I might have mentioned them once. Do you know who Nat Fog is?
Name rings a bell, but I couldn't tell you anything off the top of my head.
Oh no. Well, they had a demo in like I want to say 2008 or something. It's basically what you'd expect from Finnish black metal, but it's excellent. Still one that I come back
Let's see.
to.
Oh, this band. I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
I know them
It kind of
from
reminds
the,
me of
they're split with Necrocrest or whatever. But yeah, no, I
It
remember
kinda
the
reminded
band.
me of
I couldn't
another,
tell you what they sound like, but I remember about them.
oh, they sound Finnish. They sound like mid-pace Finnish, pretty much.
Yeah.
There was another band I don't think we've mentioned on the show before, but one that Finnish. I think they're Finnish. They're called Nonum. Remember Nonum?
mm-hmm.
I feel like that album was pretty big at a time. What the fuck was it called? They had a few cool songs. There was like the Cult of the Black Sun and Cult of the Black Sun, and the album was called Black Esoteric Evangelism. The one with that like painted black metal face on it, and if you see the band picture, the guy's got like really kind of crusty hair. It looks kind of cool. One guy's really pristine and he has a nice staff. The other dude just looks like he had a rough night. If you see that picture, if you see what I'm talking about.
No, I was listening to another Finnish band earlier. I think I sent it to you guys too. And no one talks about these guys. Torturium.
Nope, never. I've never
Torturium?
heard of them before, but I listened to a bit of it. Yeah, it seems like pretty just like black metal of that era. What is that? 2005?
Looking at Spell right now.
Yeah, around that. So, like, the guy behind Torturium was the other member of Satanic War Master through the second
Oh.
album. And, yeah, given that, I'm surprised they never got more attention, but they're fantastic. And the first album, Misanthropic Angels, Burning Winds, sure, the title doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but my god, it's fucking awesome. Love
Yeah,
it.
the way, like, from what I listened to, the way I would describe it is kind of NSBM, not NS, DSBM mixed with like Ergahol or something. Does that sound about right?
I think the only thing DSBM about it is the vocals. Like, they're very, like, wailed, kind of like Varg or Silencer. Not as wild as Silencer, but it's kind of like Varg crossed with Lust a bit, but it has a bit more tonality to it. But I don't think the music's DSBM at all. It's very...
I thought I
It's
heard a
not
little
like-
bit of the kind of the strained goth rock picking, or maybe I was thinking of a different band, but I could have sworn I heard something like that. Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't hear that, but I love the album.
Well, maybe maybe just the Ergahol then. The Ergahol and the vocals, yeah. Maybe maybe that's it.
Yeah. And those vocals, like, they're wild. Imagine if he he did vocals on Satanic War Master. That would have been a whole different band.
Yeah. Totes. I was listening to Oral too. You ever heard of Oral, the punk band, Swedish punk band?
No.
No. I don't dabble in punk.
It's actually pretty good punk because it's Alf from At the Gates, the early At the Gates stuff. So you get a lot of strange guitar work on there. It's actually kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think Hesh and Firm had mentioned them before.
Hmm.
And Fred, I was listening to one that I think you might know him. A band called Nightwolf from Germany. You know who that is?
Nightwolf. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me have a look. From Germany? Oh my god, there's two of them. From Germany.
There's one. They had like a split, and that was it.
No. Not familiar with this.
Oh no! Oh, it's pretty cool. Yeah, demo stuff from the '90s.
Oh, it splits with the Ravenclaw. I know Ravenclaw.
Mhm.
It's one of the Moonblood guys, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, when it comes to German black metal, that's like always the name that comes up is Moonblood, anyways.
Hang on. Yeah, it's one of Gamal's Goth's bands. Huh. No, I don't know. I've never actually listened to Nightwolf, and obviously this split with Ravenclaw. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Well,
German
Paul,
black metal is underrated. There was so much good stuff in the 90s.
like what do you think is underrated
Well,
in
I
that
brought up,
sphere?
I made Dawnfall one of our topics because that band is awesome.
I forgot they were German.
Yeah. Thunor. You heard those guys?
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times. I think they were on Barbarian Wrath as well.
Yeah, the preceding label, Nazgul that
Oh, sorry. Yeah. You're right.
Wolfenzeitalter, and that cover looks like nothing related to anything black metal, but it's just awesome. Such a good album. Yeah. Yeah, good
All
band.
right, Paul. With that, would you like to introduce the album that we'll be covering tonight?
Yeah, so I'll start it off with the week of, after the black metal guys episode last week. I was like, oh shit, I gotta pick an album, and I already had some stuff lined up, but the day of that I have to pick it, I always change it. And Fred was like, oh, pick something thrashy. So I was like, all right, let's do.
And that you did.
Yeah, I said let's do a brutal death metal record from
Basically
Indonesia.
thrash.
Yeah, Mayat, Timoer Democracy from Recluse Productions. It's from 2006. But looking at the album art, you can't really tell that.
No,
No, it looks like it's 10 years
looks-
earlier.
Yeah.
Exactly. It looks and sounds like it's from, maybe 96, maybe 99. And the way the font looks for the album title, that looks like an Orange Goblin kind of font. That looks like a stoner rock font.
Yeah, the album title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Basically, it got reissued like 6 months ago, and the album cover is and completely different.
Oh yeah.
Does
I did not
Doesn't
see
And the
see
that.
art
purple
too,
or
or
silver.
the logo.
Yeah.
I can't
Like
imagine.
it doesn't look bad, but it's not nearly as distinctively bizarre as that
Yeah,
lo-fi.
yeah.
Yeah, this other
This-
one.
like this looks kind of cool, but it looks too modern, I think, for what this sounds like.
Yeah, the original album art, it kind of gave me like a Verathron swamp kind of vibe.
Kind of reminded me of the Castrum album cover, the first Castrum album.
Mm.
And
I will say though, the cover that's shown on Metal Archives isn't as clear as the actual release. If you look it up elsewhere, it's not as blurry as that.
yeah,
particular
it's a little grainy here.
JPEG. for
It also
some
kind of
reason,
reminds me, like in a very like abstract way, it kind of reminds me of the Revenant album cover. If you know what I'm talking about,
but- Oh yeah, I could see that.
something like that.
But yeah, wanted to pick some brutal death metal because we
Haven't
haven't,
done it yet. Yeah.
and yeah, this fit the bill with being thrashy and very
Being awesome.
yeah audible record. It's kind of like a beginner's album for brutal death metal because you're not getting like such like muddy dense and production. You can hear exactly.
I like what this album does production wise.
Yeah, you can hear everything.
I love the clearness, and I think not only it's the clearness, but the riffing on here and the way everything is kind of placed together makes this I think kind of like you said, a beginner's death metal band or a brutal death metal band. I think this is something normal guys who are into old school death metal could easily get into.
Yeah, like bands to compare it to, I have like 99% of like Indonesian bands are like Disgorge Worship, as well as like Blasting Sickness, which is like a subgenre of brutal death metal, which is like born out of Brodequin and shit like that, where they're just constantly blasting and there's no fills in there. And I think there was a interview with Diego Sanchez with the Garza podcast, and they're talking about like, oh, why are there no fills in Discord? He's like, because they're not brutal. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So it's
It's
just,
only brutal to just constantly go.
yeah, just you know, have the blast following the guitar riffs in there. And with this release, I just felt like it wasn't doing the same sort of, rinse and repeat kind of riffs. They're all doing something very distinctly distinct from one another. Like they'll go from like a thrash riff into like a weird slam, but it's not like a typical chug. It's like a two chug one, like jugga 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 jugga, like shit all over that. And they'll go into like appalling spawn melodic lines as well on the guitar. They'll repeat
Yeah,
that.
I got that too. I wrote Appalling Spawn as well.
Yeah, so this band, all over the place, and I don't see much traction on them online. They have like two releases that I can find, which is this album and the split later. I wasn't able to find their demo from 2000, which is Aborsi. But yeah, they're still doing their thing on the split, and they happen to do that with a Colombian band. And yeah, Mayat sounds so much more Colombian than the actual Colombian band, because this is a lot of bands like Internal Suffering and Carnal
Yeah.
and
Yep.
stuff like that. They're just kind of just doing this over the top kind of blasting death metal that's really hard to follow. But these guys, it's you can listen right along and hear everything that they're doing. So I thought this was a good introduction to brutal death metal for us, especially since Fred doesn't listen to too much of that, and I thought Dan wouldn't like this because it's a bit like Discord, but prove wrong.
No, yeah. Before we get into the sample, I told Paul this before the show. A good pick. I really like this. I did hear some disgorge in it, but not to the point where it's annoying at all. I'll basically say like this album doesn't have anything that's it didn't bore me at all. It actually it's kind of profound, I think. I was thinking about some bands that this may sound like, and to compare it to, and really really kind of thinking about it and listening to it, I'm having a hard time finding another album that is this extreme.
Yeah, exactly, and it's coming out
in a comprehensive way.
Yeah, and it's coming out like 2006, so it's like I think right after and right before the two big booms in Indonesian like brutal death metal, because I think the whole slam thing comes in like the 2010s on, and there was just a lot more like straight up brutal death metal that was more disgorge worship, and I think it's like bands like Jasad and stuff, but they're coming out in like 93, and I think there's some other bands from Indonesia that are more just death metal, like Suckerhead and Slow Death and shit like that. And then it goes from like 98, 90 to 2000. That's when like this sort of brutal death metal comes out, and this was like kind of wedged in between those two eras of waves of bands coming out. But they have members from this band called Growl Sig, which was from like 94. So they're from the beginning of this scene. Just so happened to come out a little late in between both of those surges. But yeah, let's listen to. It was hard to pick some songs from here because they have like suites of songs where it's like just like under 2-minute songs right after another. But I
didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I kind of went with the longer ones so you can hear a little bit what's going on. Let me go on to the other versions. I can pronounce this.
Can I say one more thing before we go on to the sample? Fred, I was telling Paul like right before the show, Cryptopsy probably has a lot to do with this, and I don't think we've ever really got into Cryptopsy too much on this show, but me and Paul are big Cryptopsy fans are. I don't think we've ever talked to you about them. Do you like Cryptopsy?
Yeah, they're Canadian.
Oh, well then.
Better.
I do to a point. I own and keep Ungentle Exhumation, Blasphemy, and None So
None So
Vile.
Vile. Yeah, that's the golden age right there.
Yeah, and then once they got what's his name, DeSalvo on vocals, I kind of jumped off at that point.
No, yeah, understandable. I kind of did for a long time, but then I kind of dived back in. But yeah, the first two Cryptopsy albums are pretty incredible, and I think are a huge part of the brutal death scene in general. Some of that creating good stuff, some of that creating not so good stuff. But yeah, those two albums are the best. Like I love the song titled "Defenstration." Do you guys know what that means?
Yeah, being
Off
thrown
the
out a
first,
window.
yeah, it means throwing somebody out a window. The word doesn't sound like what the what it means. It's kind of funny.
It does when you speak French because fenêtre is window.
Defenstration.
I wish they would reissue the Necrosis stuff though. Like the Cryptopsy stuff is good, and
Yeah.
they reissued their demo, but like all the Necrosis stuff is just like wallowing in like, come on.
It's wallowing, but it's on the internet. You can listen to it if you want to.
I know, but I want to own it.
I want to hold it.
Just
You've seen my
like a
account,
woman.
right?
Like
it's
a
It's a
woman.
collection.
Bert.
It's a collection. I can't collect
Yeah.
a YouTube video.
make a boot for
It's
yourself.
like it's like if you can't have it, you're gonna get like a brain blister or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, make a boot for yourself.
Yeah, make a boot and go finally.
That's not how it works, Paul.
All
It
right.
needs to be paid for by another guy.
Correct.
I'm just kidding. Okay,
Well, it could
yeah,
be
so anyways.
it could be a boot off of your label.
Oh yeah. Hasn't been active for like what, 12 years?
Yeah, we
Alright.
haven't done any boots yet. I'm afraid to do that. I don't think I want to.
Now you'll get into the.
Yeah, I don't
The
want to get
drama.
sued.
But yeah, so I decided to pick the first song, "Destroyer of a Nation," and we'll be right back. right, we're back from listening to that track.
That sucked.
Take it back.
Initially, I didn't think this sucked, but initially when I heard it, I heard it like right when you sent it, and then after that, not until today. So I really only listened to this album about 2.5 times, but the difference between the times that I listened to it was kind of profound.
Come on,
Like
it
I
was
said, the first time
25 minutes long.
No, I know, but still, I had a little bit of a busy week, a bunch of crap going on. We had to do, fucking deliveries for the Swedish guy, and then we had to go to the swap meet and get all ready for that bullshit. But I think, yeah, the first time I heard this, I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty cool, and then finally, again, returning to it earlier today, I kind of think it's a bit profound, even with the like obtuse sort of riffing style, and then even with the vocals too. I wanted to compare this to Wormed, who had an album that came out in 2003, so 3 years before this. I don't know. I feel like Wormed is kind of a profound band, and I feel like they did have a lot to do with the more like ugly and dissonant type of brutal death metal, which I feel that this is, even though there is a lot of strange melody to it. Like, I kind of felt like it's kind of in a weird place. Like we said, this album looks and sounds like it could have been 10 years before it actually comes out. This could have been 96 or 99 or something like that. Because to me, it feels like a lot of classic old school death metal stuff is still in here. Like the very first riff, I heard "In Festering Flesh" by the Swedish band Instrument. Like they have a riff that's basically that, but with this, you get drum beats that are kind of accentuated, and even with like tail ends to things, you guys might know what I'm talking about. You get tail ends of riffs where the drums kind of finish it off. Like you'll get the snare hit kind of following along with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, and they got a lot of A-B variations with the tail riffs too. Tail
Yeah,
end of riffs.
Yeah, you get a lot of different things. And another thing that kind of struck me, well, maybe not every song, because it feels like every song is a bit different, especially the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But this one has a lot of really, like Deranged has a lot of happy riffs. Happy to kill you. Happy to be a fucking sicko. That's what some of these happy riffs sound like. It kind of reminded me of Nomicon, who we covered on like episode 5 or something.
Yeah,
They have a lot of like strange, happy technical riffing that you don't really get anywhere else, and I feel like this is one of the times that you actually get something like that.
Yeah, they have a lot of like consonant melodies going on, which are, the happy ones going on, as well as like going in between thrash riffs as well. This is why I sort of picked this one, because it had influence on their sleeves where it is a more extreme version of thrash, or the most extreme you can get with thrash without turning into like grind or something.
Yeah, there's a few parts in here where you get like the Bay Area. You get like basically a Testament riff, but like it's honestly basically thrash in this song. It's not really even slamming.
Yeah, there's the chug riffs, but like you said, they're never bringing the tempo down to a slam. It's always just like a thrash slam,
Yeah, I think as far as brutal death metal that I'm personally into, stuff that sounds like it could have been stuff that sounds like it's in between time, or at least taking a lot of influence from older stuff. This kind of is something that's like right up my alley. Like a lot of my favorite bands from this genre would be like Digested Flesh and Wormed and Regurgitation and Alienation Mental and Appalling Spawn, and you kind of touched on some of those. But yeah, this is like right up my alley when it comes to brutal death metal. This is
yeah, it's weird because
fucking excellent.
A lot of those bands are coming out right after 2000, so like there's like a point of like experimentation that a lot of bands are leaping on from the foundation. And I think once like 2010, maybe 2008 came along, that's when bands were kind of going more into sounding a lot like each other. Even that there was bands during this time where only a handful of bands were actually doing something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all around this time, like 2006 and before, that a lot of the experimental bands, or at least bands that are throwing in melody with brutal death metal, because I know a lot of that kind of strips that away, but I always feel like it's necessary to have that in metal.
I just feel like there's a ton of real metal influence here. Like you said, a lot of the bands in the probably mid to late 2000s and maybe getting into the 2010s when it comes to slam and brutal death. This band still has a kind of true, like a spirit to it, where if you're into extreme music, like normal death metal, or even like Fred said, getting into something like gore lust, you're probably going to get into this. And with that, like I said, you get a little bit of the thrash stuff. You get some very strange, almost mellow death, but in a turned inside out way. There was a riff in here too that sounded a little bit like a black metal riff, like you pointed out. I didn't exactly know what to compare that to, but doing a little bit of digging, I don't know if this is going to make any sense to you guys. Maybe Fred, you can probably speak on this, but that part kind of reminded me of like one of the most sinister Abigor riffs from the '99.
Oh my God,
album.
that's the one I was about to say. I was going to say either Abigor
Okay,
or
good. It does make sense.
or like Cythereal. Yeah, no, that was what I was thinking too.
Yeah. What did you make of this song?
Yeah, Fred, this is let's see
So,
what this
Out
what
of the
you think.
norm here.
I agree with the influences that you guys have been bringing up, but it does present first and foremost as a brutal death album, and it's in that sense a bit outside my wheelhouse. It's not what I normally get into, and they don't necessarily make it easy for me because that snare drum is right in your face the entire
Oh, I
time.
love that snare drum.
And the vocals are really front
Inhaled.
and center too, right?
I think they
there's
sound
just
like
a constant gurgling and kind of like pull your attention away from everything other than the snare drum.
I think that helps it
And-
with being fucked up.
Oh, really? Because I kind of had the opposite effect. I was coming to the vocals after the fact. Like, what stood out to me was honestly the clear production on the guitars.
Yes, same here. I feel the same way.
No, those were what stuck out to me. So it took a while for me to get used to it. But once I did, like I liked it. Like it's it is like Cryptopsy, or like you said, Gorlust, and I mentioned Damnable from Poland.
Oh, right. Yeah. It
kind
is a
of-
lot like Damnable.
Kind of taken to an even further extreme a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's it's violent, but it is weird how like that riff that we were talking about, the Abigail riff, it sounds like it's going upwards, for lack of a better term for describing it. It's so out of place, but it's not at the same time.
Yeah, it's not so out of place where it doesn't, because you could almost do anything on this album, and if you play the drums fast enough, it's gonna work. I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's chaotic, but it's like you can, it's like the eye of the storm. You can like see exactly what the calm center in it.
Yeah. The calm center is almost the vocals, because they're fairly unflinching. They're kind of just like a steady thing to tether you back to everything that's going on around it.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of variation with the vocal. There's
Yeah,
like
it's kind of
one
like
part
what you
later-
expect.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's like one part later where it stops and the guy goes, "Oh!"
I think
And
that's a
thought that was
sample.
cool. Yeah. Whatever it is, that was cool.
Yeah.
So, hey, just as I'm poking around on their various pages, I'm looking at the CD layout on Discogs, and apparently the first two tracks are taken from Aborsi.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't know if that means they were literally lifted right off the demo and placed on this, or if they were re-recorded for the album. but it goes out of its way to say on the
Yeah, that's kind of interesting too. It's like this band does start off
list that they're taken
right,
from
right, right where.
Aborsi.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting.
Huh.
How I said this kind of feels like old school death metal, kind of in that sweet spot between old school and getting where brutal death metal is. And again, I think this might work as that term that me and Paul coined, super death metal. I think this is definitely a super death metal album.
Yeah.
Can I just read the beginning of the thanks list?
Yeah.
Mayat specials fucking shit thanks to all the sick metal and underground bands in the world. But there you have it. Mayat specials fucking shit thanks to.
Are there any bands in that list,
Uh
or is it just all the bands in the world?
Well, they got the guy
doesn't look like
wearing
it. All the
Cryptopsy shirt.
Yeah, he's got
all
the
the
Cryptopsy
all the
shirt.
shit indie recorded distro label production etc. who have always been supporting us. All the fuck station radio what? Newsletters, magazine, and
What's
fans.
a fuck station?
I don't know. Stay brutal and
Next
sick
stop, fuck
always.
station.
The last words, can't make out the rest. Pretty sure it's not in English. And there you have it. But it does say recorded at K Studio from November 04 to October 05. So it doesn't mention any other recording sessions, which I would assume the demo obviously wasn't, so it was released in 2000. So I guess the tracks taken from the demo are re-recorded. Because it doesn't sound different from the following tracks either, right? It sounds like the
No.
same session.
Yeah.
So
and,
I guess that's all they mean, that they just re-recorded those tracks from the demo.
and they added
Yeah.
the Ouroboros intro.
They did.
The
They had
war.
the warlike Spear of Destiny intro. If anybody remembers that album, we keep bringing them up lately, but it worked here. Hey, it came up finally.
Yeah, and
It's
it's not
cool
your.
that these guys have been around since '94. It's crazy.
Yeah, and you're not getting.
It sounds like it. It sounds like that year of album. It sounds like that sort of
Yeah. You know what? It's
extended
it,
death
it
metal.
sounds
or whatever.
it does sound like a band that was around for a while and then started, and since some of the tracks were on the 2000 demo, it makes sense. But you know how the bands are around like the early and the mid 90s, they started off as death metal, and then some of those bands just tried to push it to the extreme in the late 90s before eventually like reeling back to a more old school sound. It sounds like they followed that trajectory. They probably started off more regular death metal and just kept pushing it this way as the 90s went on.
Yeah.
I think it works. I think it works much better that way. I think it works much better when you kind of have a background of classic death metal and kind of make that extreme, and you kind of want to push that rather than getting started from Disgorge or Devourment or something like Infernal Revulsion or Cephalotripsy or something. Because a lot, it seems like a lot of newer bands start off as brutal death metal guys, and so they're following a formula. Here, you're getting a lot of the
like making
and
your own
I've al-
path.
yes, and I've always said like the old school stuff is the old school death metal. I think in general is probably my favorite subgenre of metal, and going through that whole process and getting here, I think is a much better trajectory or path, to make an album.
Yeah, and
I think it's just much more interesting.
like I always had like a blind spot that I'm trying to uncover, which is like 2006 to 1996 to 2000, maybe even to like 2004, of just like death metal bands, because a lot of bands in that area that I've heard or within that timeline are doing like you said, pushing the extremes of what death metal could be. It's kind of like dead end albums, It's like it could have gone even further this way, but it seemed like a lot of bands were, following another stream, which born out more worship bands from that path, rather than
From the second wave, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
instead of
I
like
gotcha.
doing what these guys are doing, and
Yeah,
the-
starting off somewhat at the beginning and then kind of ending up it being pretty extreme.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
for brutal death metal, this band, just from their cover, their logo, It's not typically what you would find with brutal death metal, and as
No,
well as
no.
their lyrics and album titles. Like this one, I think they're mainly about like war and politics and shit.
Well, do you know what that title means? Timoer Democracy.
No.
I looked it up, and what I found, and it's kind of hard to say because there are no lyrics available. Um, but I looked up Timoer Democracy, and what I found was Timor is a misspelling of a like conqueror dictator in the 1300s. Like it's spelled Timur is apparently the correct way to spell it, if it's even referring to the same thing. But this is like a dictator conqueror who was kind of taking over the Muslim world in the 1300s. And I don't exactly know how things work in Indonesia, or what people's political views are or social views. I don't know if this is a right wing or left wing album, or if this is kind of just talking about like history in general. Because I mean, it's kind of too old to have a position on. Like, if they're talking about what I think they're talking about, they're going back to the 1300s. And looking at the album cover, it looks old. It looks like a desolated wasteland in like exactly that, the 1300s.
But then the introduction to the first track is machine guns.
Yeah, exactly. It's very strange. I mean, I like I said, I might not be right about that, but that's
Well, they
kind of
don't
what I
have to.
found out.
They don't have to make the entire album themed around that, right? So
No, because there's one
But still,
song
starting
named
with
after the
that
album.
seems like a. If you're gonna start the album with machine guns, it doesn't seem like it would.
That's what I assume, because I mean, like listening to this and the way it's like kind of there's kind of melodic riffs.
It seems
in
like
this,
they're left
most
leaning.
of it is kind of melodic in
'Cause
a cryptopsy sort of way.
I'm seeing like from the lyrics that are on Discogs right here. I'll read the most apparent one. Political bastards. It goes, demonstrations are everywhere. People are suffering. Victim are falling down. All die for nothing. Chaos rises, looking for justice. War occurred. People suffer for the leaders' act. World seems like hell. World is destroyed. And that's kind of what I can get from what I can see here. But all keep in silences. Political bastards.
Well, to be honest, I feel like that could go either way.
Yeah.
To be honest, I feel like that could be literally either way. Not doesn't really matter what the political leanings are on this band or what they mean by this. For me and you have talked about kind of the unimportance of lyrics sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those cases, especially because it's an Indonesian band and because their music is so it speaks for itself, I think.
Yeah, it don't matter. None of this matters.
Yeah, none of this matters. Yeah, Carl Aquitaine. There you go.
All right.
Hey, I got a big brown
love
dog
that.
barking at my back door.
I love that weird wasteland of the late '90s for death metal. There's so many bands just didn't get like a fair shot because they came out at that point when people just assumed that they had gone to shit.
And even like I think like the mainstream of like death metal was kind of taking over as well. So it was like taking a lot of the shine from the underground bands, because you're getting bands like Nile, Morbid Angel, Decapitated, Cannibal Corpse, all coming out with albums steadily during that time too. That is kind of taken away from the underground, where for bands that are coming out on lesser labels, not exactly like on Roadrunner or Metal Blade and stuff like that. Also,
Not
Yeah.
to mention all the bands that started as death metal and to some degree black metal as well, and then went on to going in completely different directions, like
Behemoth,
Tiamat or
maybe.
Samael.
I was thinking Behemoth since we're talking about 2006.
Yeah, but
Yeah, like you were talking about, Paul, kind of the Nile and I wouldn't say Morbid Angel, maybe 2006, but who else was
Like
big?
Origin.
I feel like Origin was big at that time. Hate Eternal was big at that time.
yeah,
It feels like it feels like a totally different genre though.
yeah, because
Like
those are
this-
like technically and like very extreme in their own ends, but it seems like it's more of like a numbers game
Polished.
with that. They're like, oh, let's get to this BPM, versus
Yeah,
like
it's a
versus like these bands are like, let me just play it as fucking fast as I can.
how about let's just make the most brutal, insane, fucked record, whereas those other bands they're not that weird. Like this is fucking pretty weird, as opposed to Nile, as opposed to like even some of the other more underground bands like Disgorge or Defeated Sanity or like Devourment or something, who I saw these guys were compared to in the comments. I listened to that stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, like, this is way more normal than what Mayat is doing. Mayat is again like more fucked in the sense where Wormed is fucked and Appalling Spawn. And I mean, there's a tiny, and like Digested Flesh again. There's like a tiny little bit of newer stuff coming into this. Like I heard a few parts in this that sounded like a dying fetus breakdown, like Grotesque Impalement or something.
Yeah.
But not much. This is so much more different than a lot of that. What do you even call that? I think Death Metal Underground called it New Death as kind of an insult.
Oh,
As like
the Hate Eternals and stuff like that.
yes, like the Hate Eternal, like Nile, like Origin, where everything starts to get way more polished and way more accepted, I guess, in the
That's
death
what I'm
metal
saying.
scene.
It's like
not
a
even the death metal scene, kind of in
mainstream.
a metal scene in general, where kids are starting to get into this first rather than getting into traditional metal or thrash or old school death metal. You know what I
Oh
mean?
Lord, no. Say it ain't so.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It was like that's a good term for it. New Death.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so too. Because this exists in that same time frame, but this is so much more. This is gonna take like a serious person to enjoy.
Yeah,
Like
shout
Fred
out,
Gazette
It's a lot less accessible, right? Like bands
it's
like
it's way less accessible.
bands
The
like
production
Hate
is
Eternal
fucked.
have that ear candy, earworm
Yes, exactly.
sort of thing going.
They
right?
have all the frills and thrills of like sweet picking and what you would expect from a tech death band.
whoa,
Like
300 BPM with the drum cam, and shit like that,
yeah.
like necrophagus and stuff coming out during that time too.
Yeah, I know people hate. I know a lot of people really don't like Necrophagus.
I love them. They're good.
I I I really like the first album. The second album, there are a few good songs, but I see where that band kind of influences a lot of other bands to do things that probably aren't right.
Yeah.
Not aren't right, but to do things that are like they sound like they're really technical, but they're actually not.
Yeah.
Say, I don't actually know a whole lot about this kind of stuff, but something like Infant Annihilator or Brain Drill. I remember even back when Brain Drill was new, I thought to myself, like, this is too much. Like, it's not too technical. It's too wanky. It's too wankery.
Yeah.
Like, all it is you're showing off your skills to pull off scales and stuff. And like we've talked about before, we had one guy in particular that was a big scale shredder guy try out for our band, and he couldn't even play a simple fucking RAC riff. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You can do all this stuff, but you can't play a simple riff. You can do all these scale-ish type of things, but when it comes to a real riff, it's like impossible for them to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal with that is.
But
I've heard that from other people too.
in defense of Necrophagus, like their demo from '95 is like some of the same songs from the first album, and they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's why I said I love the first album, and second album has some stuff that I like. I really don't. I feel like they're kind of an exception just because they're one of the first bands to do the scaly type of tech death.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of bands just took that in the wrong direction, maybe.
Yeah, and
then
like
you
you were
get-
saying, with bands like Maya, where it's like you kind of have to have a special person find and actually like this band. Who are you gonna mention?
No band in particular.
Oh, I was gonna mention the person,
maybe like
Shannon.
per-
We saw him
Oh,
in the comments.
Oh yeah, we saw Shannon in the comments. We saw Shannon in the wild.
Yeah,
I left a comment with 3 exclamation points. That translates to
yeah. Yeah, so we got a Mayat enjoyer already.
Yeah, you know what this also kind of looks like. This also it has a slight resemblance in a different color frame to the distracting stone.
Yeah,
And I feel
has a
like
tree.
guys, it has a tree. That's right, my brother. I feel like if you are somebody that enjoys the distracting stone, you will definitely enjoy this. I feel like if you're somebody who enjoys cataclysm and cephaloectomy, this is for you.
Well, let's get into
Cryptopsy.
Cryptopsy
That's
too.
right, my buddy.
Let's get into the next sample. So I
All
have
right.
the 8th track, which
All the way over there, which is
which
Iblis Burdasi.
which translates to Demon Devil Tie.
Ooh, that's spooky.
All right then.
We'll be right back.
Old school riff.
All right, we're back from listening to the 8th track.
That ruled.
I
Oh,
think that
oh my
ruled.
God, mine's still playing. Hang on.
Uh-oh.
Happened
Wow,
last
that's it. That's in my ears. Okay.
But yeah, it comes out with the beginning with just a bass and drum intro. Dan was saying like Terrorizer.
It sounds exactly like Fear of Napalm. Dun, 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 da, dun, 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 da, dun, 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 da, do, da, do, do. And it goes on for a long time. I assume that's an ode to it has to be an ode to Terrorizer. If not, well then it just happens to sound like that, but it sounds exact this but the same thing happens. Bass and drum, and they kind of continue with the chug. That's exactly what happens on Fear of Napalm in like '89.
Yeah,
So again, it's kind of like pushing the same idea that these guys are you said they started in '94, right?
yeah,
Yeah. A lot of a lot of what I was hearing on this album, I mean, we talked about it at the end of the song. They have that riff that's practically like an old school like it's it's almost like a massacre riff with a little bit of added pinch harmonics. It's almost like something
That
from Beyond, I think.
and that bit where the snare drum's doing that crazy shit.
yeah. It's like going halftime,
So
double time, doing like a hit like this,
yeah,
like
it's like all of a sudden this, for all intents and purposes, brutal death metal album just suddenly goes atheist on you, and you're like, what the fuck's going on?
yeah. And they even bring in the toms later, so it is
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah, they bring in something that like fits on this album, which is something that could have been off of one of the first Malignancy records, where like there's a million fucking pinch harmonics. So I think that could have possibly been an ode to that too.
Yeah, and I also love like how they just go from like blasting section, just going as fast as they can. They'll just like stop, do like a little tom hit, and then they'll go right back into it to give the drummer like a break. Yeah, he's not a machine,
They have to go back and check on him. You all right, guy?
He's a boom. Yeah.
I was kind of thinking while I was listening to this, I think the second time that I heard it, um, considering that this is from '94, and considering that you really do hear a lot of stuff that sounds like it could be on an older death metal record.
Well, this is
Maybe
from
just kind of
2006, but you mean
no
they
no
start from?
no they well, you said they started in '94, right?
Yeah,
Started '94, and that demo's from 2000, and we know that at least the first two tracks were on that demo. I'm sure the writing for this was done throughout the '90s.
yeah,
This may not make any sense, but kind of the way this is written and arranged, and even the way it's executed, it kind of reminded me of some of the more wild death metal from the early '90s that was like almost brutal death metal, but not quite. Like it's almost getting there. Like Accidental Suicide was one that came to mind. If you guys remember that band.
yeah. The face.
Yeah, I've they always struck me more as like they were brutal sounding, but like a bit more like Doom as well, like Death Doom. I'm thinking more like the earliest stuff from like Malignancy and Immortal Suffering, that was like brutally heavy. Like the
Yeah, we
especially
didn't even get into the New York stuff, but yeah,
yeah.
you're right about that. No, I was thinking of also Morgue and Afterlife, who I think shared members. If you ever heard the Afterlife record, Surreality in '92,
Yeah,
that
I have
one's
that, yeah.
pretty fucking extreme for '92. I think another band that kind of did something similar to this would have been like Necrophiliac from Spain, with the one with the baby on it. See, there's another good baby.
Cal-
There's a good baby album cover.
Chaopula.
yeah,
Yes, exactly. The Citadel of Mirrors or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
even like something you brought on the show a while ago, Fred, Suffocation. It kind of reminds me of that as well. Like
Yeah.
it's old school, it's technical, it's brutal, but it still maintains what the death metal spirit is. Like there's kind of no going off into this is a slam band. There's like this kind of isn't a slam band.
yeah. They like do fake outs to slams, where it's like
Yeah.
a couple chugs, and it's like I think it's for the same reason to like give the drummer kind of a breath of air in between the blasting.
Yeah, in the same way that Suffocation, or what I said about Suffocation on that episode was like, it feel the way that these riffs are kind of like obtuse and kind of like totally not normal. It is like a passed down cryptic knowledge, like, oh, this is how death metal's supposed to be played. It's like use this knowledge well, my friend, and then that's how that's how Mayat came to be, something like that. But yeah, the New York death metal thing is an interesting one. I kind of didn't I didn't really take a lot of that into consideration. I know when it comes to bands like this, people like to talk about suffocation and like how a lot of bands just kind of mimic them. And I mean,
I'm sick of talking about suffocation.
no, see, no, me too. But not only that, I did not hear a lot of suffocation in this.
No.
Like
No.
the main influence probably would have been Cryptopsy, and again maybe taking things from Wormed or some of those more wild, like I don't that's what I was saying. Like it was hard to
Like there's no
compare
band
this
that's like as a whole like this band. Like there's
No.
sure there's influences that you can, point out, but
Yeah, because with the New York bands, you're getting a shitload of slams. I think besides Wormed, I didn't mention this earlier, but one of the bands that probably is most like this is Deaden. You guys know who Deaden is, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is most like Deaden because it is overly fast and the riffs are kind of obtuse and weird, but you still don't get like giant chung 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 chung. You don't get these giant like chuggy slams or anything like that.
Did you guys see the new Jimmy from the Block video?
No, I don't think so.
It's like, he's like tired of people saying that, slam and stuff came from Suffocation too, and he like came out with like a bunch of bands that predate the 1991 album.
What was on there, like Ripping Corpse or something?
Yeah, Ripping Corpse and Uncle Slam and shit like
Uncle
that.
Slam.
Yeah, just bands that were like doing.
I know
the
James
chugs.
likes them.
Yeah, I remember them too from before,
Mhm.
and yeah. So he was just showing like a couple of videos, like, or a couple songs that were like, yeah, these guys were slamming way before Suffocation. He's like, don't forget that, and then he kind of toodalooed out of there.
Lates.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. It's like I was thinking about this too. You know what this kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of Pissgrave a little bit. If you guys are familiar with what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of present as a brutal death metal or gore grind sort of band, but they're like what's brutal about them is the drumming, and the riffs are still more in the vein of like a not Cryptopsy, but like Cataclysm or something like that. Because I feel like that may have to do with this, even though they don't they don't utilize melody in the same way that Cataclysm does. But I feel like there's a shit ton of melody in this, anyways.
Yeah, it's like the orchestral type of melodies that you get from Cryptopsy and stuff, just happening as the riff rather than like on top of it or something,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you guys want to get into the last sample?
Yeah, we could do that.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
All right, so I picked the 10th song.
Provocateur.
Yep, I picked that one as the last one because it's one of the longer tracks, and I think it has one of the like perfect outros where it's just doing so much with just that riff. You'll hear it with the drumming and what they do with it.
It's not the drum solo track, is it?
No, this is we'll listen to it
No,
right
that's
now.
one of the shorter ones.
Yeah,
Kind of a weird atmospheric like alien type of outro.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's really unique. Yeah, just pay attention to that outro, audience. That it's I don't think I've ever heard anything like that.
No, it's sick. All right, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right, we're back from the last track on this album, and yeah, it has a fade out with that riff that we were talking about, and Fred was saying that it kind of reminded him of like Axis and Sacramentary with
I would
the
totally agree with that. That could be an Axis riff.
yeah, and just
Yeah,
how the drums are jumping all around it too.
If there are any black metal riffs on there, that would be one of them. Listening to this whole thing, I think there might be only like two parts that jumped out to me as possible black metal riffs. It would be that last one, and it would be one from the first track.
The Abigor one, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I assume these, metal guys, especially, I would assume guys who are able to play stuff like this and a band that would put out an album like this and that looks like this probably were listening to black metal in some capacity and just kind of threw it into their stuff to make it more interesting because there's a ton of interesting riffs on here that are just hard to describe. We didn't really get into the New York death metal stuff, which is like typical for brutal death metal talk, but I don't think there really is a whole lot to do with New York death metal.
No, I don't think so. It seems like
New York death metal is too chunky.
yeah.
Yeah. Where this isn't. This is like razor blades fucking like slashing at your skin fast. This is not chunky death. Like this is not a big rock smashing you. This is like someone slashing you with a knife really fast.
As chunky as they get is like fucking thrash, which they have that one middle section where it's sick ass thrash riff in there, and I think that's about as like chuggy they get. Besides like their little interstitial chugs that they get in between blasting sections, but for the most part it's mainly just like these melodic sort of cryptopsy riffs, Pauline Spawn riffs in between like drumming snare gymnastics,
I'll repeat what I said while we're listening to this song. I find that the production choices of the album misrepresent it as brutal
total
death.
Good point.
Because the vocals are very, very monotonous, and if they had a bit more inflection and a bit more texture to them as opposed to the constant belching, for lack of a better term, and if the snare drum were toned down to allow everything else to breathe through a bit more, this would sound a lot more like typical death metal rather than what makes it sound like brutal death metal. Because like the riffs, the style of the drumming, it's just not there for straight up brutal death. It's I really think the production choices make it sound more in that direction than it actually is. But the ending to that song, how fucked is that?
I love it. It's so fucking
I know it's
weird.
fantastic.
It's alien.
Fantastic.
It's militant. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's like the stop-starty riff, and every time it comes around, it's like on a different ending, and then I think different starting position, and the drums just like help kind of chop that up even more so, because every time it comes around, it's like doing a double time version, halftime, or just doing like a regular, keeping the quarter notes to it.
It really made me think of something fucked from Obey by Axis of Advance.
Yeah, totally.
Just it's such a weird way to end the album. There's nothing else on the album that's quite like that.
Yeah, and to add to Fred's point, how he was talking about the production, if this had different vocals, if this had a different snare drum sound, I think also to add to that, if it had a different guitar tone, I think this would be a little more akin to something like Monstrosity. This would be kind of a more normal death metal album. Still technical, still wild, but this could not be classified as a brutal death metal album if not for those choices in like the aftermath of the riffs, basically.
Yeah, and what I like about this, and what I keep bringing up whenever we talk about brutal death metal, is like it's one of those extreme genres like war metal that kind of refine everything to like a single point without like melody. But when there are bands that do keep that in there, it's always more interesting because they're keeping that old school like metal spirit alive with that music that makes it a bit easier to follow along with, rather than just being all monotonous, kind of one note, with instruments and stuff like that. Because we can name a million, fucking goat bands and a million brutal death metal bands that,
Orphodectomy.
yeah, that all sound like each other, not really standing out, but when they add that little melody in there, it's, I don't know, it's like the perfect match for me. Like, obviously, like None So Vile and shit is at the top
Yeah,
of
same
that.
here. It's like Chef's Kiss as far as brutal death metal goes.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
Access to and Sacramentary, adding that little bit of melody and variation on
Yeah, that's
rhythm.
that's a great point to compare this. Yeah, brutal death metal and war metal are pretty similar in those ways. They're different, but they're similar in the ways that a lot of the bands can get sucked into sounding quite the same and quite monotonous, and to the point where you just don't care. And Axis of Advance, how we just mentioned, and this band, and a few that I would compare to, like Worm, Digested Flesh, blah blah blah. Even Cryptopsy as well. I think this definitely stands out as something special and not one of the bands that you should ignore.
Yeah, and it seems like this track was one of the most like rhythmic of the bunch, because the rest of them, especially the short songs, like those are just like fucking wall to wall, just blasting. They'll add their little short stops in there and thrash riffs in between, but it's kind of just like unrelenting. But with like this song in particular, from the beginning to the middle section to the end, it's all just doing odd rhythm, right hand technique that I don't really hear in a lot of brutal death metal, besides, the like slam bands that, take the whole band on that ride, rather than like this section, the drummer's doing something completely opposite, the guitars are doing, they're kind of grinding against each other with taking over the negative space, which makes this really fucking interesting.
Yeah,
But
agree with that.
yeah, you guys got some final words about this?
You want to go first, Fred? You got any words?
Sure, I got words.
All right.
I've always got words. Not
Yeah.
necessarily
Cool.
not necessarily good words, and not necessarily placed in a good order. But I've always got words.
As a black metal, death metal guy, what do you think of your first brutal death metal listening on our podcast?
On this show, yeah.
Well, like I said, like once you get past the production, it didn't really strike me as all that brutal death metal. Like it's when I think brutal death metal, I think more like Brodequin or shit like that, where it's really less penetrable than what we have here. This is remarkably complex. And we pulled out thrash riffs. We pulled out even a fucking Abigor riff out of this. The
Pulled out
ending
some
to that
Nomicon.
final song is just like completely bonkers. It's not fair to call this brutal death metal. There's a lot more going on than the textures of the production would suggest when you first listen to it. So yeah, I like this. And again, I think I've always said that the best compliment I give something is if I find it, I'd buy it, and I would.
And there's fucking nothing on Discogs. I was looking for
Oh,
a copy myself, and
Aren't there?
nothing.
Well, at least look at. Well, it was reissued too. It was reissued though, right? Is the reissue available?
I didn't check from the
reissue's not
label.
even on. The reissue's not even on Discogs.
Yeah,
Oh, fuck
exactly.
that. But oh no, it is. It's just not incorporated into the. Oh well, there's none available. So
Yeah, exactly.
no, I would. I would even look for this. So approved.
All right.
So you won't be so turned off when I bring on some brutal death metal, huh?
No.
No,
Not
if
if
you
it's
bring
like
on,
this.
if you bring on actual brutal death metal, then maybe. But no, this is a great album.
Sweet. Dan?
Well, I'm glad Fred brought up Brodequin because I think that was something you were gonna bring up, but we didn't really get a chance to, right?
I think I may have brought it up a bit, but
Did you?
yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah. So with this, I had already brought up bands that this reminded me of, but kind of listening to it and really listening to it and kind of searching through other things that I could compare it to. Um, I went through the Internal Suffering, The Awakening of the Rebel from 2006, same year. The Defeated Sanity from the same year. Devourment. Geneva Virus came out with that
Oh
demo.
yeah, that's great.
2006. Yeah, and I even checked out again that first Viral Load album, and listening to that stuff. Honestly, that stuff is way more normal than this is.
Yeah.
As far as brutal death metal goes, I think this is probably one of the most extreme albums that I've heard. It's like Cryptopsy, but up a few notches. It's really spazzy and really like technically proficient in a different kind of way, but it doesn't get boring at all. It like you compared it to Disgorge, but Disgorge I found kind of boring, and this wasn't boring at all. It's like wild, but it stays cohesive. And again, I'll say this again about like brutal death metal bands, kind of coming out of coming from like sounding like Suffocation. I don't think this sounds like Suffocation at all. And when it comes to like the specific riffs that they're playing, I don't think that a lot of these are, except like as a guitar player listening to what they're doing, I don't think these riffs are especially difficult to play, but the way that they're doing it and the way that everything is put together is just done so effectively. And we can talk about like extreme metal albums or like getting into gore grind territory that are incomprehensible, that may be more extreme than this. I'm thinking like Jig Eye or Last Days of Humanity, or like Sublime Cadaveric Decomposition or something.
Mm-hmm.
Those may be more extreme, but this is more extreme in a way that everything matters. And I'm gonna do what Fred did for the for what was that record that I did, or that I picked, the Putrefactio. Yeah, I don't know that this is my favorite that you've picked, Paul, but this is definitely up there. And as a first for brutal death metal, this is definitely amazing. Like I said, I had a really hard time finding something more extreme. I think this is probably one of the most extreme death metal albums that I've ever heard. And that's coming from someone who kind of just likes death metal in general, like mostly old school stuff. It's my favorite genre, and like this kind of does it for me as far as brutal death goes. Wormed is probably my favorite brutal death band, and this band takes it a little bit further, or at least a little bit further in what I'd like to hear. So yeah, 10 out of 10, A plus, dude. Great fucking pick.
Oh yeah. Well, last words for this is I was trying to find something, as coming back to brutal death metal over, a couple years, I kind of neglected the genre, and I'm so used to hearing a lot of bands that are, kind of copying each other, or, just sound similar in what they want to do, like the Suffocation, Disgorge clones, and all the, New York style brutal death metal that's coming out. Like, I always just try to find something that's has a little bit of melody in there, because that's just what my ear clings to the most and is the most memorable to me. And this release coming from Indonesia, which is like a fucking hotbed for brutal death metal, especially coming during the time that this did. Even though this is a band from '94, they could have been coming out with this all the while, but didn't officially publish it until 2006. So with finding this band and hearing your guys' thoughts on it, it's reassuring that that I'll bring more and more stuff like this, because it seems like we all enjoy it objectively. And yeah, with this band, all the way from the drumming to the clear production and the vocals, which kind of took a back seat for me with the guitars, because just hearing riffs like that coming like clear, it makes me wonder like, oh, are bands like Bardaquin or Discords, are they doing sort of riffs like this, kind of like what Terminus said with Revenge? They're like, hey, you know, Axis and Sacramentary, you know, they have like these fucking amazing riffs going on with their most popular band that has a sort of muffled production. Are they also playing these sort of riffs? The answer is no. And I think the case is sort of the same with Discords. It kind of defined what we hear nowadays. And not so much with Brodequin with the riffs, but more so with the drumming of, yeah, they're just doing this blasting the whole time, no matter what kind of riff it is. And we can hear this over this album, definitely, but they make it work in a way that, especially on the last track where they're kind of clashing against each other, playing different sort of rhythms over this stop-start weird riff, and it just works. And yeah, I'm glad you guys like this, and I hope everyone else does too.
When we were taking our
If
piss
they
break,
don't, they shouldn't be listening to this.
Yeah.
when we were taking
Go
our
away.
piss break, when we took our piss break, I'm at the shop right now. For some reason, I assumed Paul was at the other desk, and I'm like, oh wait, Paul's not here.
Aw.
I was expecting to be like, yeah, I got a piss, bro, but he wasn't even here.
But yeah.
Oh, you guys pee together.
How did you know?
I can hear it.
Alright.
You leave the mic. You leave the mic on.
Can you hear the stream crossing?
Don't cross the stream.